All right, everyone. Welcome to Street City Studio. I'm John. If you're new here, we do a lot of toy reviews, and that's what we're doing today. I got a new toy I'm pretty excited to crack open here. We got Dengar from the Empire Strikes Back. You can't see the whole card, but I can tip it back a little. Right. And I'm real happy about this one. If you've been following for a little while, you'll know I say it probably often enough. I am not a completionist, right? And so, out of the Empire Strikes Back bounty hunters, really the only one I have is Boba Fett, because he was the important one, right? And I've actually got a couple Boba Fett figures. A good handful, at least. Alright, I got both versions of the deluxe and the Morak version from the shows, from the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Right, all the way down to when he was a kid. Right. And so basically, I'm a Boba Fett fan, but I do like the bounty hunter scenes, or scene specifically, I guess. But bounty hunters and Star Wars go together like peanut butter and jelly, right? Anytime there's some Star Wars bounty hunting, my ears are perking up, right? Just like the Mandalorian and Grogu, right? That was a really good show. And it was all wrapped around that original concept, right? Of a Mandalorian bounty hunter. Right. But that being said, back to my original point that I don't need all the bounty hunters necessarily unless I'm going to try and recreate that scene. And I don't really have a diorama for that scene. But I do need, or did need, Dengar out of the bounty hunters. My favorite would be Boba Fett, obviously, but then next would be Bosk, and then Dengar. Forlom and Zuckuss, I could care less, and IG-88, I could care less, especially for IG-88, because I've already got the IG-12 or IG-11 or whatever we're calling him now, right? I've got him, and if I really did need to fill that role, he would fit pretty well. I mean, he's got some key differences, and I wouldn't mind some red optics to make him look a little more like 88. But if he's just in the midst of battle or something, that would be a fine stand-in, right? But my point being, Dengar and Bosk I definitely need. Forlom and Zuckuss, not so much. And even if I do need to fill them out for a scene, I might even look towards the older figures like a Saga collection or Legacy collection, just for a good stand-in, right? Maybe even loose, so I can save a buck. But anyways, I might get them out of here, and we will get this figure open, because I'm pretty excited to see it. Like I said, I don't really have a lot of interest in all the bounty hunters necessarily, Forlom and Zuckuss. But Dengar, I really liked Dengar. He had a distinct look, right? Especially being the only human that you could see. I don't even want to say like he's the only human, obviously. Boba Fett is human, or humanoid, right? But you can actually see Dengar's face. And somehow, being the only visible human, or human visible, he seemed like the least human, you know? He seemed like the coldest, the most brutal. I always liked the idea of him being the muscle of the group, you know? But yeah, I'm gonna pause it and start getting this guy open, and we'll be right back in a second. Alright, here we go. He is out of the box. I've already started playing with his pose a little bit to loosen him up and get him looking more natural, but his feet aren't flat here yet. Let's get him situated. See if he won't balance better. There we go. That'll work. Now, a couple things I'm noticing right off the bat. I like the figure. He looks as good as I was thinking he did. But I am noticing a couple criticisms or complaints, I guess, right off the jump. Ooh! Ooh, I knocked my table. Look at that. Hold on. Alright, we're back. Sorry about that. My setup's a little different than I'm used to, and even my camera. This camera I'm using is not my phone camera that I've used to make most of my videos. It's a little bigger. It's my laptop I'm using, so everything's a little different, and I haven't made many videos in a while. Getting back used to it. But back on point, back on topic. I think I was talking about some of my criticisms here. It's a great figure. I like it a lot already, but unfortunately, I don't know why I didn't realize it beforehand, but he still has those really bad hips, the swivel hips, just front to back swivel. And for what these figures are, that seems real ridiculous at this point, right? Especially at these price points. We should have functioning hips, right? Ball joints, or, you know, there's a couple options, I guess, but at least a step up from just a swivel. Just a swivel is like 1992, maybe. That's when I stopped liking swivel hips, right? Because they've been so many lines have been doing better than a swivel hip for so long, right? Beyond that, I will say a couple things catch my attention. He's got a very nicely detailed backpack, but it's very thin and hollow. The plastic feels kind of cheap, right? It feels like a lanyard or corpse backpack, I guess. But it does look nice. The details on it are very well sculpted and painted, or well enough. So I'll take it, I guess. Another thing that caught my attention is this really weird codpiece armor that he has. It just seems to pop right off there for no reason. Or maybe there is a reason. Maybe I don't know it. I'm sure somebody will tell me if there is a reason. Let me know. But I'm not aware of a good reason. It just seems silly. It should be fixed like the rest of his armor, I guess. Or all of it could come off if that's a choice we're gonna make. I don't know. And another thing that catches my attention, if you see, he has like buttons or snaps in several places around his costume, like to hold the turban around so he can cover his face or whatever. And the toy does not replicate that. There are no buttons or snaps around. But other than that, the sculpt looks really good, other than the lack of buttons or snaps. It does look really good, and I can't wait to get some pictures of him. But the limited hip articulation is definitely gonna restrict what I can do with him. And I mean, I've made do with very similar articulation, or less even. Sometimes when the sculpt's good enough, it's still worth getting some pictures, right? It would definitely be nice to get some bounty hunters. Maybe chasing down some Han Solo. I saw that new Han Solo figure they announced, and I'm not one. I don't love buying the same figure 6 times. Where is he? Right, I was kind of hoping that might be the last Han Solo I buy. Or at least in this costume specifically. But that head sculpt definitely is better than this one. Right, that smirk definitely looks more like Han Solo than this one. Ooh, knocking him down because I'm watching through the camera, not over the camera. You kind of lose depth perception when you do that. Alright, so I do like this Han Solo, and I'll probably get some shots with the bounty hunters chasing him or confronting him or whatever. But it's going to be a matter of figuring out my diorama and my scenery. Right? Figuring out the figures. Figures are the easy part, I think, usually. Right? Because, see, I'm already doing it. I'm already setting them up right there. Right? Because I don't want to see this face now. Now that I've seen the smirking one, I kind of like this one less. Right? So we'll get him the back of his head kind of thing, or just a profile maybe where you just see a bit of his cheek. Right? And you can tell that's Han Solo. Right? Or maybe I'll do something different. Right? Where he's like coming around the corner or hiding. Right? And you got them like they're coming around the corner about to find him or something. Yeah, that's not as exciting, I think. That one looks lame. But it's just kind of trial and error, right? That's the beauty of it. You get a lot of errors, but when everything lines up the way you saw it in your head or the way you hoped it had, but I don't think I have a whole lot else to say about this figure. I think I was really excited to crack them open, and for some reason the swivel hips surprised me. But at this point, from the vintage collection, I don't know why it does surprise me, right? How many Boba Fett's they released with swivel hips until we got one without them, right? But I really do like filling out my Star Wars. I think he just would have required a little bit more posability for some action shots. Right? Them action shots really need a little more posability. But I guess they can't all be the best figure on your shelf, right? I've gotten a couple. Let me pull that back here. I've gotten a couple figures recently, some Star Wars, right? K2SO. That's a really nice figure, right? You got well, Mech Suit Grogu, and that's a really nice figure. Right, what was the other one? Oh, let me reach over here. Right, I just got the Firefly from Hyatt Toys, and that's just a stunningly amazing figure. Right, that's my new go-to Firefly. There I go hitting that corner again. That'll be a good time to wrap it up, I think, huh? As always, I appreciate you guys coming by and checking out my little video. Let's get here, Dengar here, right? My little Dengar video. And I am a little disappointed, but it is a good looking figure. He definitely fills that spot. But with them hips, I almost wonder why I didn't just buy the older figure, I guess. Because now I'm going to want a better one down the line, and I'm going to feel like I'm buying the same figure twice just for slight improvements. I don't like doing that. Right? Maybe I'll wait until I see them buttons showing up on his turban. But anyways, I'm going to wrap it up right there, I think, before I slap this display around a few more times. I'm feeling clumsy today, apparently. But you guys have a good one. Take it easy. I appreciate you coming by. I'll talk to you again real soon.